Hey, Arcturus here. Today, we're looking at Dwarf Lords with Shieldbearers for Warhammer The Old World. This kit builds two different models, both Dwarf Lords, one carried by Shieldbearers, as the name suggests, and you also get a Lord on foot. We'll look at the Lord on foot first. You can see the shield, a dragon scale cloak, horned helmet with little dragons on it there. A little difficult to get the camera to focus on those. Some very ornate armor and an axe, single hand axe, very ornate dwarf helmet. This HUD went on very easily, though you can swap the two models and put this head on that model and vice versa. On the box art, this is how the two of them are, but in the instruction manual, it is reversed. You can also make this Lord with axe on foot, and have the other Lord with shield and axe being on the shield here. It's just the legs stay the same, you just change out some of the torso pieces. And you can swap the heads between either of them, so you can do a pretty decent amount of combinations there. And I went with this because I think the two-handed axe looks better on the shield, makes a little more sense, has more reach, so you wouldn't be clubbing the dwarves who are carrying you in the head with an axe when swinging, since it's got a little extra reach there. So that's why I went with this. I think it just looks a little better, though if you prefer it the other way, by all means. One thing with this head is it did not want to stick. Even with glue, it took a little longer to set and remain on the model, which was a little strange, but it worked out in the end. You do only get one of this shoulder piece here, and it can be put on either dwarf. I put it on him because there is a sort of gap there if you don't. But he has kind of like a fur cloak going over the base of the cape there. He's also got a pistol. And he's got three guys, two with axes, one with a book, one with a mug there. You can see in the back, both with beards. And then you have a third guy with a keg here in the back, who does not have a weapon, but he's kind of bracing the shield. With this guy, this arm, I had to put a little glue under the fingers, which I don't think you can kind of see a little shininess there. That's probably a little too much glue there, because it wouldn't stick to the shield. It does look in the instructions that you don't need to do that. I found I needed to. Maybe I didn't get it set perfectly on the shield before I put that extra glue on there, so that could definitely be a factor. And these two, their axes seem to be touching the base just barely, more so on the left than on the right. I think the one on the right here is just barely above, and I couldn't figure out how to get them not to do that, and that does seem to be how they sit. So maybe I got something slightly off, but it does seem to go together. Also, when putting these two on, I put them on upside down like this, because the shield has indents for the little handles here, and I couldn't get them to go in upright. So I put them in upside down, put all three in, and then flipped it over after letting it sit for about 10-15 seconds so the glue stuck just enough, and then putting them so that their feet were flattened. Otherwise, they were a little off. And then I let them dry, and then I put the guy on top. I think these are pretty cool models. I've been considering picking up the Dwarf Battalion for a while, and decided I'd rather go with a slightly lower price point entry into Dwarves for the Old World, because I still have a bunch of the Bretonnians and Tomb King sitting in boxes. So I thought, let's be a little more sensible than otherwise. There is not a ton of customization beyond swapping the weapons and helmets for these two. A lot of the old Games Workshop kits had a decent amount of little extra pieces that you could attach to the models or bases, and these do not. It's very much just what you get in the box is what you get, and you do use all the parts. So, but I think for two Dwarf Lords, I think they look really good. They are plastic, which is nice. They aren't resin. Resin's a little more difficult to work with. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next week with another video.